There's this argument out there about the dangerous left that pervades so much of our culture and social media, and this argument needs to be challenged. YouTube is filled with videos about cultural Marxism and left wing ideological excesses, and all of this is somehow responsible for the ills of Western civilization. How about we look into this? When did all this crazy cultural damage to Western civilization start anyway? What about this assault on individualism that the collectivism of the left is so engaged in? Well, let's get real. For all of human existence, really until the dawn of the modern nation state system, just a few centuries ago, humanity relied on family and kinship. Everyone lived a sort of collective existence, pretty much. Everything, healthcare, insurance, jobs, entertainment, for what there was of it, was based on one's intimate community. The West was no different. So what happened? How do we end up with the world we have today? Yuval Harari calls it the most profound cultural revolution in human history, this ending of communal family ties, as they were. And it's hardly talked about. Harari explains in his book Sapiens that the state and the market took over many of the functions of traditional families, allowing for the expression of individuality. In other words, the Enlightenment ideas manifested in the world through the processes of technological change, capitalism, and nation building. It was a complete bill of goods that started in Europe and spread to the rest of the world. And guess what? This process is still unfolding. Today, cultural disruptions are normal. The essence of cultural change is not really left wing ideology, or for that matter, it's not really right wing ideology. Change results from the effects of these greater dynamics. Human expression has interwoven itself in the market and now extends into a globalized world that is based on information and technology. The nation state system is still kicking, still there, and these freedoms of expression ultimately, eventually, get coded into the laws of the lands of each society. So even Pippin here will tell you, Pippin, don't go away, I'll talk to these people. He will tell you that capitalism and the state are really what's behind cultural change. And guess what? It's not really all bad either. Uh, the rights and dignities of individuals continue to expand into new territories, from women's rights to issues around sexuality. Go back to the start of the modern world. Would you really want to live there? I suppose if you went back as a landed gentry, it might be okay. There's my other pet, Momo. I guess she wants to be involved as well. In any case, in the time of the West, before this left wing assault, even if you were on top of the food chain, let's say a noble, you would still likely live a fraction of the time that you live today, less than half. Most of your kids would not have made it into adulthood. And let's not even get into all of the sexual mores of those times. Zoom back to the present and look, why are things so bad today in comparison to this West? All the boogeymen of the left, feminism, LGBTQ, BLM, and so on, how much culture have they destroyed? Where are the feminazi prison camps? How many men have been thrown in prison without due process for sexual improprieties? Where are the unruly transgender mobs rampaging through people's homes? What freedoms has anyone lost because of the left? What about all the freedoms won? All the rights and the freedom that were brought about by the actions of the left, the end of brutal child labor practices, the fact that women are no longer the property of men, all of the voting rights that have come to pass because of actions of the left, of unions, of social movements. And guess what? Who resisted all those actions and all those rights and freedoms? It wasn't the left. No, it was people talking about how dangerous the left was at that time, the ones with arguments about the end of Western culture. So, what's the deal? Hmm. Let's ask Momo, my cat. The challenges we face today, she would tell you, if she could talk, are economic in nature. They include a globalizing world, automation, and a capitalist system that is unanchored from collective well being. As a consequence, environmental issues also take center stage because they are intrinsically tied to economics at this point. But instead, so many people continue to place the blame of cultural disruptions on these ideological notions. People see ideologies of social justice and the resistance to them as the causal rather than the result of the processes involved in modernity. Momo likes to use big words. Blaming cultural transformation on lefty college students or other politically inspired notions is an illusion. The underlying economic technological transformations in our world have far more profound consequences in our lives. None of us here are saying that ideology and cultural expressions are not important. They are. But to primarily focus on them is missing the bigger picture and preventing creative solutions. Local and global economic transformation shapes the ideological landscape, and in turn, politics. To focus on ideological extremism primarily is to put the cart before the horse. But the technological and globalizing economic forces in the world and the accompanied environmental consequences of modernity, climate change, loss of biodiversity, underlie our very existence. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say for now. Pippin and I wish you well. Sayonara.